I'm Harry Campbell from Biofeedback Resources International, and I am making this video to just tell you a little bit about the AAPB. So the AAPB stands for the Association for Applied Psychophysiology and Biofeedback. It used to be known as the Biofeedback Society of America. That name changed many years ago. And so this is one of their lines here, their theme, connecting science, self-regulation, and real-world practice. So what is the AAPB? It's a professional home for the science and practice of self-regulation. So it's a professional association which brings together clinicians, researchers, educators, and other professionals interested in applied psychophysiology and biofeedback. It's also a scientific community. It promotes research, education, publications, meetings. They have annual meeting and other meetings, and exchange of knowledge across disciplines. And it is a field building organization. It promotes professional standards, ethical practice, public awareness, and responsible advancement of biofeedback. So, in promoting and representing the science and practice of self-regulation, it enhances health and performance. The vision is to integrate self-regulation into everyday life. So we look at research, education, practice, and professional community. Understanding the interaction between psychological processes and physiological activity. That's really what biofeedback is good for. So we look at the mind-body connection, and we also look at self-regulation. So we have thoughts, emotions, attention, and behavior. And then under body, we have heart activity, breathing, muscle activity, skin response, and brain activity. We also have skin temperature. It's not listed there. Self-regulation. We're using biofeedback technology to measure, receive feedback. So it gives feedback to the clients, and the clients then practice and they learn in session, and then they generalize what they learned into everyday life. So the goal is not simply watching physiology on an instrument, but it's to learn from it and develop useful regulation skills. Now, how does biofeedback work? You have a learning loop. So the instrument measures, it informs or shows the person that it's measuring from. They practice, control, and they should improve either in health or in ability if we're talking about peak performance. So first of all, the sensors capture the physiological activity. The feedback is the information that's returned in real time to the person. Practice, the person experiments with regulation strategies. So sometimes they might be using techniques or relaxation exercises that you teach them, but they also may be just experimenting and kind of playing around and learning from themselves and the instrument. And the skills can become more automatic and maybe used without the equipment eventually. That's what we want. Eventually, the person should not need the equipment anymore. So who benefits from the AAPB? It's intentionally multidisciplinary. So you have clinicians, psychology, counseling, medicine, nursing, rehabilitation, and related professions. Researchers, scientists studying physiology, cognition, behavior, health, and self-regulation. And then for educators, faculty, students, trainers, and professionals teaching self-regulation. Performance professionals, you have coaches and professionals working with performance and optimal functioning. The public, people seeking credible information about biofeedback and self-regulation often turn to the AAPB for a reliable source of information. The field, a shared community that strengthens standards, research, education, and collaboration. Where the field is applied, clinical care, education, rehabilitation, performance, and self-exploration. Under health, we have stress, anxiety, regulation, headache and pain, respiratory regulation, other evidence-supported applications. Learning, you have test anxiety, skills, attention and focus, learning, self-regulation processes. Under performance, we have sports, business, military performance settings, and optimal functioning. For self-exploration, we have learning how life events and environments relate to physiology, developing awareness and regulation. Why does AAPB matter? The organization helps connect evidence to responsible practice. That's important, responsible practice. Evidence, research, and scientific exchange help the field evaluate what works. Education, training, and continuing education help professionals stay current. Standards, professional and ethical standards encourage competent practice. Community, clinicians, researchers, educators, and innovators learn from one another. Public trust, clear definitions and responsible communication help consumers navigate the field. Advocacy, AAPB represents the field in efforts related to recognition, reimbursement, and acceptance. AAPB in the professional ecosystem. AAPB advances the field. Other organizations have complementary roles. AAPB is the professional association. They provide research dissemination, education, standards, ethics, and advocacy. The BCIA, or the Biofeedback Certification International Alliance, it is the certification body. It sets training requirements, credentialing, and recertification. Research and practice community. You have universities, clinics, researchers, professional disciplines, and technology developers. Understanding these roles helps professionals explain what membership, certification, licensure, and training each mean. What does membership offer? Professional community designed to support better practice and stronger connections. Peer network and member community, Applied Psychophysiology and Biofeedback Journal, the Biofeedback Magazine, scientific meetings and educational programs, continuing education opportunities, books, webinars, and professional resources, fellowship and professional recognition opportunities, and advocacy related to recognition and reimbursement. And you have different membership categories like regular, early career, retired, hardship, associate, and student as options. AAPB as a source of knowledge. You have a peer-reviewed journal. That's the Applied Psychophysiology and Biofeedback. It's the official AAPB journal and publishes original, basic, and applied research, reviews, conceptual work, and clinical material. The Biofeedback magazine is quarterly. It features practical articles, clinical applications, instrumentation, announcements, and field perspectives. And then for education and meetings, you have scientific meetings, webinars, books, recordings, and continuing education that create opportunities to translate research into professional learning. The students and early career professionals should care about the AAPB because it's an opportunity to meet professionals across clinical research, education, and technology settings. They can learn by gaining exposure to research methods, emerging applications, and professional practice. And then they have opportunity to contribute by presenting ideas, conducting research, participating in the community, and building the future of the field. The AAPB's Education and Research Foundation also supports student travel, tuition, scholarships, and research awards. And here's what the AAPB wants the public to understand. Biofeedback is a learning process, not simply a machine. Physiology can be measured with appropriate instruments. Understand, feedback can make physiological patterns easier to recognize and learn. Practice can help people develop self-regulation skills. Good biofeedback practice combines appropriate measurement, qualified professional guidance, evidence, and learning. AAPB helps a multidisciplinary field turn physiology into usable knowledge. So you have science, education, practice, self-regulation, leading to better health and performance. If you work with people, research human functioning, teach self-regulation, or want credible information about biofeedback, the AAPB is a professional community that is worth knowing. And you can learn more by going to the aapb.org website. And these are some of the sources of the information that was included in this presentation. This is my contact information. Also, information about my book, What Stress Can Do, available on Amazon. You can reach me at the numbers listed here, 877-669-6463 or 914-762-4646. We've got my email address, harry@biofeedbackinternational.com, website, biofeedbackinternational.com.